Okay, so these are the impacts of climate change on cacao production. And I'm Grisham Tolan.
I'm Demetrius.
Going over the impact of climate change on cacao production. So firstly, what is cacao? Cacao, often spelled as cocoa, refers to the seeds or like the beans from the Theobroma cacao tree. It's a tropical evergreen tree that sprouts mostly in Central and West Africa. The cacao tree produces large pods, which contain cacao beans, and those beans are basically what is crushed up and the primary ingredient in the production of cocoa. And over time, there have been multiple threats that have limited the production of cacao trees, and we'll be going over those today.
So here we have a map of global cocoa bean production. And as you can see, most of the countries that produce cacao are centered around the equator, in South Africa and Southeastern Asia. But the place that has the most concentration of cocoa bean production is probably Western Africa, in countries like Ghana and the Ivory Coast.
Okay, so what's happening? So a really huge climate weather event called El Nino or El Nino Southern Oscillation has been very detrimental to cocoa harvests. And unfortunately, these events are becoming much more frequent, and they're increasing temperatures and prolonging droughts in these regions on the equator, like in West Africa and Brazil. And you can see here on this graph on the left, this is after the 2015 El Nino event in Brazil. So what happened was cocoa pod yields, which kind of, that's the main source of cocoa. They dropped by 90% because of this one event. Next. Okay, here you can also see yield drops coinciding with El Nino events. And take a look at the 1998 strong event. You can see this huge drop in different regions, the Para region and the Bahia region in Brazil. And also this 2015 event caused a 15% mortality in trees, all trees surveyed. So it's a huge factor caused by climate change. Oh, okay. So what's happening to the farmers and to the people actually growing and the people who are actually part of this industry? So half the world's cocoa is produced in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, an area that is set to experience a 2.1 degrees Celsius rise in temperatures, and 65% of the world's cocoa is produced in West Africa alone. So in countries like the Ivory Coast, but also in Nigeria, other countries. So the majority of cocoa farmers have less than 5 acres of land, which means that maximizing these yields is critical to their livelihood. And they really rely on cocoa because it's basically their livelihood. And 6 million people rely on these cocoa farms in total. It's a huge number. So what about us? Why are chocolate prices rising? They're rising due to high demand. Of course, the market is expected to grow from 48 billion to 68 billion by 2029. And unreliable harvest, of course, we already touched on that, but the 2023 season is expected to yield 374,000 less tons of cocoa than usual. And here on the graph on the right, you can see cocoa futures increasing by nearly 10,000 by where we are now. This is probably like March 2024. I can't really tell right here. Yeah.
So now, why does this matter? Like, what are the consequences of this decrease in cocoa production? One thing is relocation. So as the amount of suitable land decreases and changes, farmers are going to have to get up and move to different areas. So as you can see on this map on the left shows the locations where cocoa is being grown in 2013, and the right is a prediction of what these suitable locations will look like in 2050. And as you can see, the amount of land has decreased by a lot. And this relocation causes a positive feedback loop of climate change because as people relocate because of climate change, they have to, cut down trees and cause deforestation that will eventually lead to more climate change in the future, which will harm them. And these farmers have to choose between shade and full sun systems. So they can either choose to, grow the cocoa with a lot of shade or with little shade. And the difference this causes is that full sun systems are usually more productive. However, they have a greater climate impact versus shaded systems, which have less of a climate impact. They're less productive, but they're more tolerant to the effects of climate change. So that's a choice that these farmers have to make. And the suitable growing area for cocoa production is expected to rise up to 1,500 feet above sea level.
Okay, some possible solutions that can help mitigate the effects of climate change on cacao production is firstly soil management. Basically, these are practices for maintaining soil health, which leads to fertility and more production. Some examples are mulching, composting, cover cropping. All those will help with soil health and increase soil health, and it will reduce the effect of the droughts and excessive rainfalls that might affect the crops due to climate change. And it would also lead to more growth and productivity for the plant. Another solution that we identified was agroforestry. This is the practice of using trees and shrubs to provide shade alongside other crops. And for the cacao seed, basically you're growing trees and shrubs to provide shade, which will help with the rising temperatures that affects the cacao seeds. So to summarize, we've identified multiple occurrences and disasters that threaten the production of cacao plants. And the threats we identified were droughts, rising temperatures, and sea level rising. And the possible solutions to help reduce the effects of climate change on cacao production are agroforestry and soil management. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.